Hi, Rick Seymour here. One of the tricks to effective goal setting is making sure that your goals are big enough to make you stretch, but not so big that you can't even begin to believe that it's possible for you to do it. The first goal I can ever remember intentionally setting was to eat lunch in the company cafeteria. You see, I was an aerospace engineer. I was terminally shy. I did everything that I could to avoid being around people. One of the reasons that I became an aerospace engineer is I didn't have enough charisma to be a mortician. As long as I was buried in my cubicle doing my engineering thing, I was fine, but the minute I had to interact with somebody else, I panicked. I had never eaten lunch in the company cafeteria for fear someone would sit down next to me and I would have to carry on a conversation. Now, after deciding to pursue my entrepreneurial bent and start my own business while still working full-time at the big corporation, I realized that if I didn't get some people skills, I would never be successful. So my first goal was to eat lunch in the company cafeteria. Now, I know most of you are probably thinking that is the most ridiculously small goal I have ever heard of, but to me, it was huge. And I remember the first day I got a tray of food. I sat down at a table that was empty, long cafeteria-style tables, and prayed that no one would sit down next to me. Well, they didn't, because I gave off that aura that I used to be so good at doing. Well, after surviving a couple of days of that, I decided I would sit down at a table that had one person at it. But I made sure I sat at the opposite end, on the same side they were, so there was no way we'd ever make eye contact. Well, I lived through a couple of days of that too, so next I decided to sit at a table with only one person at the opposite end, but on the opposite side from them, just on the off chance we might actually make eye contact and have to say hello. It took me 2 or 3 weeks to get to the place where I could sit down across from somebody and say hello first. That goal was a big stretch for me, but the beauty of it, and the beauty of goal setting, is that as you approach a goal, you can begin to set a bigger one that continues to make you stretch. You know, today I'm a superb communicator with great people skills after tons of tapes and seminars and mentors and practice. When I first started in business, I would never have been able to envision myself where I am today. It would have been so far beyond my expectations that I never would have even attempted that change. I would have given up on the idea that it was even possible. But I could envision myself eating in the company cafeteria, eventually carrying on a conversation. You know, it's interesting. I've climbed all 54 mountains in Colorado that are over 14,000 feet in elevation. Do you know how you climb a peak that size? One step at a time. The company cafeteria was the first step for me. Some of us may take much smaller steps than others, but if we just keep taking those small steps, it's amazing what we can eventually accomplish. If you'd like more information on this or related topics, go to godinyourgoals.com.